I tell those guys every single day, man, put it on tape. Put it on tape. I don't care if it's practice. I don't care if it's a one-on-one rep. Put it on tape because, I mean, people are going to walk in this building, right, and judge you based on what's on film, right? No matter how good of a player you think you are, they're going to look at the tape, right? Your opponents are going to look at the tape, right? And we don't really run off a lot of things, but when I hit play, right? When I hit play and I bring a recruit in here and I hit play and I ask that recruit, what does this tell me about this player that you're watching? He's aggressive. He's physical, right? He runs well. Oh, he talk a little bit of trash. He talk a lot of trash, right? But when I do that with recruits and they say that, right, like it's a pretty good feeling because that lets me know that he putting it on tape, right? And so now I'm just trying to get all the guys behind him to follow suit, you know. And so it's a process, you know. Devin has been here for a while, and I think the fruits of his labor are truly starting to blossom and form now, and I think he's stepping into his element.
I mean, had to replace, you know, Tony, and then had to replace Kirby. Just how have you seen the somewhat new look secondary just kind of all come together?
I mean, anytime you get more time in the system, I think you get better at it. No matter if you have better players or not, right? I think for us, right, we got a combination of the two of them, right? We got better players from the year before, right, or returning players, and it's their second year in the system. And so the tweaks that we had last year and them trying to learn the scheme, it's not really about them learning the scheme now. It's about them understanding formation recognition, right, splits, right, what does the quarterback like to do, so now they can just go out there and play fast. And I think year two, right, it's faster. I think year three, it'll be fast. I mean, and as we kind of progress, guys are going to continue to play fast.
Sorry if you've already been asked it. So why was Saturday the right time to get Tyson some of those game reps?
So we live by the creed, Coach B, right? Practice habits reflect game day reality. I mean, that is a staple in our building, right? And Tyson's practice habits afforded him that luxury of an opportunity, right? Today I told them, right, inconsistency is the killer of opportunity, right? Like if you're inconsistent and you're inconsistent day in and day out, that opportunity is never going to come to you. But if you're consistent, Tyson was consistent all last week, right? Had kind of been building up, right? Had a little bit of confidence. I mean, it's clear to see he's 6'4", beautiful. You know what I mean? Like he's a good-looking kid. You know what I mean? And he worked his tail off, and he had a great week, and threw him into the fire. He just didn't know it was going to come with Spoon going down with some cramps. You know what I mean? Like he knew it was going to come. He didn't know it was going to come right then and there. And so I always tell those guys to be on ready.
How did he respond, do you feel like, in those reps?
I mean, I still think there's some things that we can work on. I critique those guys hard, man. Yeah. I'm really, really, really hard on them, extremely hard on them. But it comes from a place of compassion and love, and they understand that, and they understand the expectation in the room. And I think he did some good things, but then, like even on the PBU, like in my mind, it should have been an interception. Like that's just the way my mind functions, right? Like how cool would it have been, right? Your first snap out there, you get a pick. Right? Like, okay, PBU, cool, but get your head around. Right? So now we're talking about the phase in terms of him getting his head around, getting in position. And that started at the line of scrimmage, believe it or not, right? He's playing a certain technique, kind of got stuck in it because I think he was just nervous. He was nervous, right? Like any other freshman would be. And emotions were running high. But anytime you get in those situations, you always resort back to your training, right? You've been trained. So I'm like really hard on them during practice, all those guys. Game day should be fun. Like, I am all over them during practice. And so I want game days to be fun, and they went out there and showed it a little bit. And Tyson, I think Tyson's going to be a special player for us, man. Like, you just got to keep growing and keep developing.
I mean, had several guys maybe get hands on the ball in the first 3 games and not get the pick. Does that pain you on the sideline?
It pains me. Oh, man. It pains. So the thing I like to preach is guys being defensive wide receivers. I don't believe in DBs. I want guys to be defensive wide receivers. The greatest attribute you can have as a secondary, right, is when you're taking the ball away, right? Like let's just use Kirby Joseph as an example. That kid's life has changed, right, because he had 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions. Well, what if it was just 1? His life probably would have been a little different. What if it was 0? It would have been completely different, right? But 5 takeaways, right, 5 interceptions, let those guys that were watching when they hit play know, damn, this kid got some ability. It changed his life. And so, like, I know it's a progression, right? Like, early on in the season, as we start to get into conference play, like, those are game changers, man. And I think the more our guys see that, right? Kendall is starting to make some plays on the ball. The more they see that, the more opportunities they get, I think the better they'll be down the road.
How fine a line are those guys walking when Ryan talks about the ability to pull the trigger? I think that was really on display, to know how to be aggressive and not draw a flag. But from 8 stories up, it's hard for me to tell. How fine a line are they there on there? Is there any moment where you're holding your breath going, don't throw a flag? Or are they clearly on the right side of it?
Not at all. I've lived back there, right? So I guess the analogy I want to use is like, you ever been chased by a dog? Like a vicious pit bull?
Not recently.
Okay, I have. Not recently, but in my life, I have. And when you've been chased by one of those dogs, let's just say it's 2 of them, right? Let's just say it's 2 of them, right? And before they start chasing you, right, or before I was chased, typically those dogs were in the gate, right? They in the gate, walking around, barking, right? And they may not really be dangerous until they let out the gate, right? And then it's like, oh, holy crap, right? And so I want our players to play like that. I want them to play on edge, right? Because it's easier for me to tell you, slow down, than to speed up. Right? I want them to play on that. At this position, you have to be wired that way. Because if you are not, if you don't have that confidence, that swagger, if you're not playing on that edge, people can take advantage of you, man. And when we're in the meeting rooms, that's how we coach. When we're on the practice field, that's how we coach. And I think it's starting to show up on the field a little bit. You know what I mean? And as a position coach, I'm watching it. I'm trying to teach through the corrections that we need. But I mean, I got a 5'9" corner. He got to play like that in Taz. Like he has to, right? Because his size, if he doesn't play like that, people are gonna take advantage of him. You know what I mean? Devin Witherspoon, 5'11", maybe 6 foot, depending on who's recording his height. But he has to play like that. 180, 178 some days. He got to play like that. And so anytime you got guys on the back end that aren't as long or as big as your prototypical DB, they got to have some scrap and dog to them, man.